Hey guys, this is the second of Team Yours Halo lore videos, so if you haven't seen the first about the creation of the UNSC and the Interplanetary War, then click here to watch it now. If you want to see more of these videos, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more Halo Infinite and community news. Now that crossplay is out, if you're on Xbox and want to join Team UR, or have a Halo clan that are struggling to recruit for, then make sure you join our Discord recruiting hub in the description below. This is the story of the Insurrectionist War and the start of the Orion Project and the Spartan 2 program. The Unified Earth Government was constituted as humanity's governing body by the UN in the immediate wake of the conflicts in 2170. After the Interplanetary War, the UNSC was forced to deal with the less obvious but equally serious threat: overpopulation and a massive military that has no enemy to fight. The post-war period saw massive population surges that, coupled with the destruction and famine bred by the rainforest wars, threatened to destabilize the interplanetary economy. The Unified Earth Government's first wave of extrasolar colonization took place between 2362 and 2390, resulting in the formation of the prestigious inner colonies. During the century that followed, new colonies were established at an even more rapid pace as the technologies involved became more widely available and affordable. The worlds settled during this period would become the outer colonies. Many of the outer colonies were established to supply goods to the inner colonies and Earth, and entire worlds were established for the purposes of agriculture or mining. Earth and the inner colonies became exceedingly dependent on resources produced by the outer colonies, prompting Earth to take steps to ensure they stayed loyal to its authority. The outer colonies also became a haven for Earth and inner colony citizens unhappy with the Earth government or otherwise looking for a fresh start, and many fled to the outer colonies through both legal and illegal means. Following the rapid volumetric growth of the region of space controlled by the human race throughout the Domus Diaspora, the UEG found it increasingly difficult to maintain its hold over the outer colonies, hundreds of which were scattered across exceedingly large swaths of space. By 2490, the outer colonies surpassed the core worlds in number by several hundred. Despite their more discrete composition, the outer colonies proved an ample breeding ground for a strong nationalist sentiment among their citizens, which in turn led to their perceiving the Earth government and the UNSC, which imposed its will, as a draconian outside force. As a result of the growing rumblings of discontent, many inhabitants of Earth and the inner colonies began to feel threatened by the outer colonies surrounding them. The UEG and its colonial governing and military entities continued to maintain their military presence and economic control over the colonies with trade restrictions and taxes, engendering further dissatisfaction amongst the colonists, and provoking the more radical secessionist elements. Civilian uprisings against the UEG rule began to outbreak between 2475 and 2483. The CMA's response was swift and severe, but their heavy-handed tactics backfired, only hardening the resistance against them, and further radicalizing the population against them. Stronger and more aggressive dissonance began to take to the political stage, plunging the colonies further into civil unrest. While outspoken and violent resistance against Earth was initially confined to desperate insurgent organizations, even the leadership of some outer colonies would eventually become sympathetic to the insurrectionist cause. Eventually, the People's Occupation and Secessionist Union were formed, uniting many of the dissenters under a single banner. In 2487, these newly established organizations jointly submitted formal requests for independence to the UEG on behalf of a dozen colony worlds. As well, as these sentiments spread, even some scattered elements of the CMA became increasingly sympathetic to the rebels, eventually providing them with information, funding, and equipment. The involvement of these acts of the CMA with the rebels went public in 2497, leading to the organization's gradual dismantling and its supplement by the UNSC as the primary military force to the colonies. In 2491, Dr. Elias Carver presented a set of theories known as the Carver findings to the UNSC High Command. According to a projection algorithm devised by Dr. Carver, social order in the outer colonies would break down completely in the near future. To stabilize the colonies, Carver recommended a swift and extensive military action on part of the UNSC. Carver's critics asserted that the situation between the Coal Worlds and the outer colonies would be stabilized through diplomacy over enough time. However, the UNSC military adopted the Carver findings as their standard model for the years to come and sought to curb any major unrest with military intervention. In this same year, the UNSC resurrected the mothballed Orion project. The initial version of the Orion project was activated by the Office of Naval Intelligence on April 13, 2321, to significantly increase the combat effectiveness of the colonial military administration's elite troops. The end goal was to improve the security of future colonies outside the Sol system. At least 5 operators were selected as test subjects for their experimental augmentations, although the project would be shut down due to poor early results, funding issues, poor personal retention, and low reliability. The troopers were reintegrated back into the active service. However, for reasons undisclosed by ONI, all 5 would die within the year. As the Civil War began to intensify in the outer and inner colonies, between the colonial rebellions and the usurping by the UNSC, the CMA found it difficult to hold on to their assets. In June 2494, the UNSC Marine Corps turncoat Colonel Robert Watts had joined the Secessionist Union and rallied the insurrectionist movements on the human outer colony of Eridanus II. Equipped by rebel sympathizers within the colonial military administration's command hierarchy, Watts orchestrated a methodical and thorough series of assaults involving terrorist bombings, political assassinations, and kidnappings that heavily impacted Eridanus II's shipping routes. With the aid of their CMA contracts, the insurgents were even able to amass a small fleet of ships. The Eridanus government officially requested aid from the Unified Earth government in December 2494, as chaos spread across the planet. By January 2495, Watts and his insurrectionists had effectively taken control of the colony. Anyways guys, I will continue this war story in my next video, as well as the final battles of Operation Charlemagne, Trebuchet, and how the Orion project evolved into something bigger with a little help from a Dr. Catherine Paulson. If you want to see that video, then make sure you hit that like button and subscribe, as it really helps me out. But before you go, don't forget to check out our Discord in the description below. Come play with us. I'll see you guys in my next video. This is Family 53, out.